Combat sports fans, it's time for another great edition of Strong Style. I'm your host, Jeremy the Impact York. This is our weekly dive off the top rope into the world of mixed martial arts and professional wrestling. I understand we haven't done one of these shows in a while. That's why I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys now. Today, we're just going to talk NXT, AEW, and TNA. Starting next week, we will talk more Invicta. We will talk some bare knuckle, some UFC, and PFL. We will incorporate all that back into it. But for now, just wanted to get on and talk a little professional wrestling. Now, of course, if you want to follow the show, you can go to our YouTube page, impact_media_. You will see, just look for the show Strong Style. It's where I have all kinds of special guests throughout the wrestling world, a lot of indie wrestlers with shows coming up because we have started to cover, or actually in the last couple of months, we have covered more indie wrestling shows, especially in the West Georgia area, like this weekend. We will be in Villa Rica, Georgia for Bullpen Professional Wrestling. We'll talk more about it on the show. Um, yeah, actually, some big time matchups there. We will be on Sunday. We will be up in Calhoun, Georgia at 12 Gauge Professional Wrestling at 365 The Spot. Gold Dust Park is where Bullpen is going to be in Villa Rica. Come to these shows, look them up. You can usually find the links in the cards all across my social medias, across Impact Media social medias. We do our best to tell you about all kinds of shows. Premiere has a benefit show for one of their own. Billy Knight is that's going to be next Saturday in Buchanan. We're not very far from where that show is going to happen right now, actually. Just all kinds of fun ones coming up. Mucha Lucha's this the end of this month. So is Deep South Wrestling. Just so many great things. Premiere has another show before then. Uh, and also, if you guys are on the indie scene, let me know who you want to see, or if there's somebody in the mixed martial arts world or somebody in the professional wrestling world that you would like to see as a guest on this very show. Drop it in the comments. Drop it in the comments right here. We will do our best to get these people on because this show is as much about you as it is about me. In fact, it's more about you. But like I said, we're just gonna hit the wrestling for tonight. Let's start with NXT. They started with the Hogan salute because the news had dropped just before their show, I believe. Great tribute they did to him there. It was the actually I think it was on Monday that I think we heard that, and Raw did a good one as well. But then they had to get to the action. Um, I'm not going to go match by match. I'm just going to go with the things that really caught my attention. Jada Parker had a good match with Jasmine Nix. Of course, Jada Parker got the win. I liked that she was featured, and they're really starting to build her up. I think her and Lola Vice are two that they're going to build on a lot more in the near future. But I was more impressed with Jasmine Nix, the often forgotten member of Fatal Attraction. Most of the time, she is the almost a managerial role as either JC Jane or Fallon Henley will be in a match, and she'll be the one to disrupt her on the outside. But Jasmine Nix, I think, more than held her own in this match. She's a really good talent. I don't know how long Fatal Attraction is going to run, but when they split up, we know Fallon's going to be good, and we already know JC is too. It'd be interesting to see if Jasmine pairs up with somebody else, maybe a Ren Sinclair or something, and I think they could really put a stamp on the women's division. Um, Javon Evans and Trent Williams have a program going. High Rise is involved. Um, High Rise, of course, is Wesley's group. I like that group. I think it'll help push Wesley up a little more. Well, that was kind of weird, wasn't it? What is behind me? I think it will help Wesley more than it will the actual tag team that's with him. It could push him into higher ranks of maybe being a more full time main eventer. He has the ability. It's kind of like Trick, though. I feel like Trick still has a little ways to go before he's going to get a call up. Um, I don't know what's going to push him over the edge like that. And we all know at some point Joe Hendry will sign with NXT, and then he'll be a more featured player. We'll talk more about that later. But it looks like the No Quarter Catch Club is slowly uh, breaking down as well, as Tavion Heights also got a win over Dempsey, which gets him out of the group as well. It is basically Ren Sinclair and Dempsey. If they just want to let those two pair off, I think that's fine. I think Ren Sinclair does really good being with Dempsey like that. And I think Dempsey is one of those guys who doesn't have to have a group. He almost disappeared in that group a few times when the other ones were really booming in Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights. So maybe it'll help Charlie Dempsey a little bit more to not have so many great talented people around him like that. Him and Ren Sinclair I think are a great fit because Ren's really high up there too, but they're obviously not going to face off. Um, we got to see once again Blake Monroe, Lola Vice, Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan. Just trying to figure out who that next lady up is going to be. You got to throw Last Legend in there. There's some other ones just to see. It's one of the best women's divisions going in wrestling right now. I mean, I could make an argument for TNA's women's division. I could make one for AEW's. I could make one for NXT. Obviously, WWE. I mean, women's wrestling is really doing well right now, and I think it's only going to get better. Speaking of which, definitely enjoying the new culling. I don't like that Brooks got the boot out of it, but putting Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame together has been fantastic. And with Nico and Sean Spears, that is a fun group. They can do some really cool things. And I do really like what the culling is doing. I would like to see Izzy and Paxley pushed and elevated up a little more. I think Nico will be able to get there on his own. I don't think he's going to need that super boost. But that's a group to keep your eye on because every time they've kind of had a cool dark group down there, you've really started to see some people shine that may not have been the initial ones you thought. I mean, it got Joe Gacy to the main roster, and um it got Ava a GM gig or work with the group. So you know, you just got to follow those kind of things and see who's going to make the most of it. We got to see Fallon Henley and Last Legend square off. Of course, Fatal Attraction's down there, but then Nia Jax. I tagged Last Legend. It's something I just said on the WWE recap show with Daniel, where we talked about SummerSlam. I said Nia Jax would be a great opponent for Jade Cargill or uh, or even Becky Lynch or something like that. I said, but she's in NXT. And he said, what do you mean? I said she just showed up in NXT and she's picking fights with some pretty big gals down here. So I'm probably not gonna see her on SmackDown a whole lot here soon. But Last Legend and Nia Jax, they're trying to see if Lash is ready to come up. And as somebody who is a fan of Last Legend and loves when Atlanta and especially Georgia talents do well, I want to see Brooks Jensen do well because he's from right up the road from here, and I want to see Last Legend do real well. She is from, gosh, she's Cobb County, I believe, Cobb County, Georgia. Some famous wrestlers come out of there as well. Um, Santino Marella versus Ethan Page was a fun match. I don't remember if they have faced off before, but Santino can still very much hold his own. Just, just outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. That was pretty much NXT. NXT is building up. That we're going to see, Jordan Grace is going to play a bigger part soon, and watch the title picture because Obafemi. The only thing that's going to stop Obafemi from carrying that title for about as long as he wants to is his call up. He's a guy that I could see gets called up by the end of the year, and he is gonna have some really, really fun matchups that you can see on Raw or SmackDown with that guy. And I think he's getting there. He's not quite ready, but he's getting there. Uh, let's go to TNA. We'll finish up with AEW. Let's go to TNA. We got to see Cedric Alexander versus Jason Hotch versus Leon Slater. We're finally getting to see more triple threat matches for the X Division title. I very much appreciate what Moose did for their X Division title. We knew whoever was able to take it from Moose is going to be a future star or a star in the making. Leon Slater is that guy. They really feel highly on the kid. I think he's going to do some big things. And having him hold that title, you're going to see more of these kind of matches. And as random as TNA X Division matches usually are, I think Leon Slater is a matchup for a lot of really fun people. Masha and JC Jane, because of the crossover, at some point, I think Masha could get the title back. I would be willing to bet that the women's title moves back to a TNA person before Trick gives up the men's title. I still think that's kind of crazy that two TNA titles are held by NXT people. I don't have a problem with it because the way they're doing it is fantastic. At some point, an NXT title needs to go to TNA though. Just show a good faith. There's some good candidates that I could make some uh, some good calls here and there, but I'll leave it up to the powers that be. Speaking of a women's division, having Danny Luna and Indy Hartwell in a tag team, I like that tag team almost as much as I like her and Jody Threat, Danny Luna and Jody Threat. But Jody Threat was actually the one who took the pinfall from Danny Luna. I feel like they're going to see those two hash the former tag uh, tag team title holders kind of hash out their differences a little bit first. And having Ariana Grace over there was great from NXT. That was a good fun person to have in that match. But Danny Luna, I think, has potential to be a world champion in TNA, and I hope she gets the opportunity to do so. Um, whatever Jake something and um, Steve Macklin have going, it could be interesting. I'm a big Steve Macklin fan. Jake something definitely has value and is good to have in the ring and stuff like that. But I think part of the reason that he's called Jake something, and he's made the most of being just almost cast away like that. He's made a really good run with it. But the fact that you're still called Jake something and they haven't really done much else about it. Macklin is the kind of guy to rip that name off of you and make more of you. And I could see Macklin doing that. And to me, they better put the world title on Macklin. Steve Macklin beating Trick Williams could definitely be a good thing because he's one who can really hold this company and put it on his shoulders like that. And if you don't watch out, Steve Macklin will be the next to jump to AEW or otherwise. I don't think he go back to WWE. He might, but one of his favorite people in the world is on the AEW roster. So I tend to think he'd go there first. But be interesting to see what they do there. Big Macklin fan. The Nemesis versus the Rascals, just a really good tag match. I don't think anything's going to come of it because the Nemesis picked a fight with the hometown man instead. I think that's really a Santino like idea what they're doing with that, and that's a lot of fun. Um, the Sammy Callahan thing. I'm even gonna skip over the Hendry stuff. Sammy Callahan, first off, saying that he's got a backstage role at TNA, that is awesome. He has such a mind for this business that probably some of the new writing ideas we've seen and some of the twists that have really made their shows fantastic, probably Sammy Callahan's probably had something to do with it. Um, but him potentially mulling his retirement, I don't know if he's ready to hang it up yet or not. He may be one of those guys that you just see kind of float in handful of times a year, kind of Undertaker style, and just have 4 or 5 pay-per-view matches a year. I could see that. I could see him back full time. We'll see what he does, but I don't think he's done in the ring. I'll put it that way. I don't think he's done at all. Um, that's pretty much all the TNA. Let's go to some AEW. We got to see the Outrunners versus the Young Bucks in a tournament or a tournament semifinal, I believe, or maybe a quarterfinal. I don't know. It was a tag team tournament. I actually like the tournaments in AEW, but of course the Young Bucks win, or I guess we're really calling the Young Bucks. They are Nick and Matt Jackson. They're really playing up this. They're not EVPs anymore. It's going to make them turn into something else, and I think it's going to be a lot more fun. And then once again, you have a young talent like the Outrunners, one of the 3 teams that the Hurt Business said they wouldn't mind dropping the titles to. They said no to FTR. They said, yeah, the Outrunners or Top Flight or any of these other ones. Well, the Outrunners got ran over by the Hurt Business. The Young Bucks beat the Outrunners. FTR beat the Outrunners. How in the world can you build young talent and these fun teams like them if they're constantly losing to every other team? Because the Outrunners are fun. There's no telling how many shirts they're selling right now because people really like them and they're good in the ring. They're not a bunch of goofs. They're actually good. And and look, I'm a Young Bucks fan. You guys know that. Do I have my hat over here? I have it somewhere. I don't. You guys know I have my biscuit party hat that I got from the Young Bucks. I mean, they're a Young Bucks fan, and they need to win in this particular tournament. But I mean, what are we doing with the Outrunners? You had Okada come down and smash them, and then Swerve come down and pick a fight with him. Why couldn't Okada just come out on his own? Why did he have to take out the Outrunners? We know Okada's still one of the best. We know Swerve's one of the best. Swerve and Okada is going to be a ridiculous matchup. I can't wait for it, honestly. But why did the Outrunners have to be the ones they ran over? I need to see if my buddy Clay can come on and talk some AEW here soon because I think he's going to have a similar take, and I know he's got some time. He's got some time on his hands. So Clay, I know you're watching this show. I want you to come on sometime soon, and we're going to talk some AEW because you guys tell us all the time you want him back on, and we need to talk about it because we need to book this territory for them in some aspects and get these guys back going. Um, MJF no longer being the Hurt Business. I don't know that he was ever in the Hurt Business. Honestly, it was a good fun story leading up to it, and then his supposed acceptance, and then now he's back out of it. He got what he needed anyway. He got his contract, and he doesn't need them, and they don't need him. And he's really an okay fit there, but MJF is a better loner than he is anything, unless they put together some sort of super team in a different aspect. Can't be the Hurt Business. It's got to be similar to the Horsemen. Then yeah, MJF can be that guy. He is the flair of the group, the mouthpiece who can just out wrestle majority of the people he's with. I gosh, that's what you know what Clay, since you're watching, that's what we need to do. We need to make a new Four Horsemen group um, with MJF as Rick, and we need to fill out the other members. That's put that in the to do. We're gonna get that. We're gonna have Clay on just for that. Maybe we'll go 30 minutes on that. We may go Broadway on that. Who knows? Um, I want to see what Christian is gonna do now that Kip and Mrs. Wayne and Nick have kind of split off, and I do think they've completely split off. I don't think they're gonna ever go back. Christian and Edge looks like they're gonna maybe have another collision course, maybe another match or tag on their on Edge's way out. I know he's Cope or Copeland or at this point it doesn't matter. But I'm more intrigued with what Christian is going to do next than what Cope is going to do. We got to see Mox and Hangman again, where Hangman was able to retain his title. It's time for Mox to take a step away, in my opinion. and not really lick his wounds because he more than held up his end. And if him and Darby are gonna go at it, then that's fine. That would make a lot of sense. But it just seems like he needs to step back from the title picture right now because Hangman needs to go on his fun little run, even if Mox takes it back later. Don't think he will. But John Moxley held the title during one of the crazier times of AEW and did it well. And they owe him a lot for that. But a new day has dawned, and it's time for the Hangman to ride into the next phase of what AEW is going to be. What else was there? Athena versus Tony Storm. That's going to be a really, really fun matchup. We get to see Alex Windsor and Billy Starks in the middle of this as well. They just signed Alex Windsor not long ago. You guys have already figured out why they signed her. You should already know why they signed Billy Starks because they are phenomenal, phenomenal talents and just deepens that women's roster that much more. The way they've mixed and matched those four has been fantastic. But Tony Storm versus Athena, at some point somebody's going to beat Tony Storm. Is it going to be Athena? She has the clout. I don't know how they're going to book it, but she has the clout. She could she could actually make that happen. It would be interesting if she did, because if not, I don't know who they're going to put in front of Tony. There's nobody that has the momentum. I mean, the person to do it with that had the momentum would have been Mercedes Monet, but that made better sense to have her go ahead and lose at that point. And also, where's she been? I'm slowly siding over, at least on her in ring work. I'm a bigger fan of it now than I was maybe if you caught some of the previous episodes with me and Clay. She's kind of won me over a little bit. She's just really, really on it in the ring. We'll work on the out of the ring stuff, but in the ring, starting to really like Monet matches a lot more than usual, a lot more than before, which was next to nothing before. Um, all I did was set up something else. Let's go. Yeah, the Death Riders came and on a collision and came out and called out Darby Allin. That makes a lot of sense. I can see him rifling through them. He'll get a match with, I think Pac is still injured, but and we haven't seen the guy from Japan who Gabe Kidd. We haven't seen him, so we don't know if he's actually in their group or just was a spot starter again. Um, if you don't like Bandito and Brody King, I don't know if we can be friends because they are such a fun, chaotic team. Brody just continues to just pound people, man. How do you provoke a bear and then take out a bear when he comes running at you? Because that Brody King is as big as the biggest bear there ever was, and then that's he's just fun. And Bandito is a great changeup to the fastball that is Brody King. Um, what else was there? There was a lot of talking on Collision, and that bugs me on the indie level. Sometimes just show us a match, man. We don't need an explanation for everything, and we don't need you to hand a microphone to somebody just so they get a appearance in. Have them walk down and sit in the front row of a match if you just need an appearance. It makes way more sense for them to be scouting a match than for them to talk aimlessly about paper clips and palm tree shadows in the back. It don't know, just the things they come up with. I really like the Triangle of Madness. This trio of Tekla and Sky Blue and Julia Hart is interesting. It's not fun yet. It's interesting. Uh, Obviously, Julia being the leader, the next in command being Sky Blue, who's kind of more of the scout, and then Tekla, who's the muscle. That's a fun little group. They're not deep enough. They're not established enough. The women's division in AEW to do a trios, so don't. But you got some tag division stuff going, or uh, any incarnation of those three can really wreak some havoc. Um, I also like the pairing of Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. Megan, future world champion. Penelope has a chance kind of sneak in there herself, but she's a really great pairing with Bayne. Um, I mean, just like Tom Mello and Anna Jay. Anna Jay is fantastic. I wish she got more singles run than she has recently. But pairing her up with Mello, they're a good, solid tag team that you're going to get a great performance out of, and so they've put them back together. Um, we get Bowens and Castor and Billy, and they can't decide who's friends and who's not, and who wants to beat each other up and not. Just don't put them back together. We saw pretty much everything that they could do together. So let Bowens do his thing, Castor do his thing, and Billy do his thing. I don't see a reason to not. We all know that Colton Gunn hurt his knee because right here in Atlanta at the One Fall Big Super Show a couple weeks ago, he was replaced in a match with Brody King. I mean, if you're going to replace one of the Gun Club, you do it with the biggest gun you could find. But so instead, we get Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn as the Bang Bang Club. And that's a rough team. That's a tough team. Austin is by far the technician, but Juice can out wrestle you and he can out crazy you. He is just a fireball on a Sugar Rush or something. He is so great. And of course they lost to FTR, but it's that tournament. FTR is going to go pretty far in the tournament, but Juice and Austin, man, the cardboard cutouts of their fallen comrades of Colton and of Jay White were great. You know, they did the Jay White thing for a while, but now they're doing Colton too, and the fact they put him at ringside, and it just shows you how great they really are there. It was good to see Roosh, who completely doesn't understand how the Max Caster matches work, as the time limit draw happened there, and then Caster paid for it. But I don't know where they're going with the Max Caster stuff. It's not even comic relief at this point, and at some point you're going to make Roosh mad, and that's not a good place to be. I was through the moon excited to see not only Shane Taylor, but the infantry of Sean Dean and Carly Bravo from right here in the ATL. Finally getting some good play on on TV as they took on Top Flight and Scorpio Sky, otherwise known as Skyflight. Um, this was a good match. For one, the infantry and Shane Taylor are masterful hands in the ring. And for people who don't know, that's wrestling lingo for you can also be called a mechanic. But if you're a hand in the ring, you are very good at helping yourself and your opponent during matches to make it just as seamless as possible, to tie all the loose ends together and to just make it great all the way across. They are outstanding at that. Skyflat, of course, wins it, but hey, the infantry and Shane Taylor were on television, and they weren't walking in the back, and they weren't arguing with people. They weren't no, they were featured in a match that was the co-main event. Speaking of the main event, thoughts, prayers, and condolences out to Dustin Rhodes, the natural Dustin Rhodes, who I believe is having double knee replacement surgery. His one knee is completely wrecked, and the other one they said is pretty bad, enough to where patch surgery not enough. So instead, his match with Kyle Fletcher that was just brutal. Fletcher ends up taking the belt off of him. I think he was going to do so anyway, but Dustin said his knees are toast. He's looking at double knee replacement, and then he will keep stepping as best he can. But that is all of the wrestling action that happened this past week. We are going to jump into the other stuff. I'm going to try to get this show back early week. It's I keep saying it, but we're going to try. We're going to keep having guests on. Already this week, like I said, we just wrapped up myself and Daniel Schneider, the Backstage Jabronis, talking WWE and SummerSlam right before this show. Just last night, I had Chris Gaines of Lethal Gaines here locally on to talk about 12 gauge pro wrestling, bullpen pro wrestling, premier all-Star Wrestling, and so much other things. He's really funny, but he is also a member of his faction that you have to watch because he is quite the cerebral technician. And he's in one with just a big brawler Viking of a guy because if Lamar Phillips is good at anything, it's pillaging village. It's yeah, when he pillages the villages. Because if he shows up in your town, he's taking it from you. He's taking it all from you. That's just him. He will beat you up. And then Ryan Marks, of course, who is just a very methodical devil on your shoulder, just as dangerous. But you have the triple threat of them like that, and they are quite the formidable trio on the indie scene right now. But like I said, I had Chris Gaines on last night. Earlier in the week, I had Kyle Charisma, who is the voice of 12 Gauge Professional Wrestling. They have a show Sunday, as I said, up in Calhoun. I believe 4 or 4:30 bell time up at 365 The Spot. And then Saturday, Bullpen Pro Wrestling at Gold Dust Park in Villa Rica. I believe that is a 7 o'clock bell time. That sounds right. Look on their socials for all that. But that's where you will find this guy later on in this weekend. And other than that, we have reached the end of the show. So, as I said, Invicta, UFC, PFL, Bare Knuckle, we're going to talk about all that next week. We're going to talk about NXT, AEW. We're going to talk about TNA. We're going to talk about all this stuff each and every week. It's going to be more regular, going to have more guests on. Drop questions, comments, suggestions, people you want to see on in the comments here. And until next week, I'm Jeremy the Impact York. Thanks for tuning in to another great edition of Strong Style. We'll see you guys next week. Go watch wrestling. Go watch fighting. Deuces, gooses.